5,000 years. Massive stones. 0 written records. Stonehenge sits on Salisbury Plain like a riddle carved in rock. And after centuries of digging, dating, and debating, we still can't crack it. Every answer leads to 3 more questions. Every discovery makes the puzzle deeper. You think you know Stonehenge? The tourist photos don't show you the underground chambers, the acoustic anomalies, the bodies buried in ways that break every rule. 12 mysteries that make archaeologists lose sleep. Which ones have evidence? And which ones point to something we're not ready to understand? The monument we see today isn't what stood here 4,500 years ago. Multiple construction phases, different peoples, changed purposes. But the questions that keep scientists awake aren't about timeline. They're about the impossible engineering, the unexplained features, and the bodies that don't fit the story. If you value documented archaeological mysteries like this, subscribe. It's the best way to support our work. Also, comment from which city you're hearing this from. This script is researched and factual, using sources from English Heritage Archaeological Reports and the Stonehenge Riverside Project. Now back to the story. Mystery number 1. The heel-stone solar alignment breaks down after 3,000 years. Every summer, solstice, crowds gather to watch sunrise through the monument's northeast entrance. The sun rises directly over the heel stone, 17 meters away. Perfect alignment. Except it isn't. Astronomer Gerald Hawkins calculated the positions in 1965. Due to Earth's axial precession, the alignment worked perfectly around 2900 BCE, but Stonehenge's main construction phase happened between 3100 and 2600 BCE. The builders positioned the heel stone when it would be off target for centuries. Why plan for a future alignment? The mathematics required knowledge of celestial mechanics that shouldn't exist for another 4,000 years. Radiocarbon dates from Aubrey holes confirm the monument's age. The heel stone weighs 35 tons, stands 4.9 meters tall, and sits exactly where advanced astronomy says it should, but 500 years too early. The heel stone's surface bears deliberate shaping marks. Pecked grooves run vertically down its eastern face. Tool marks suggest systematic modification rather than natural weathering. But here's the problem. The stone's position creates the alignment from inside the circle looking out. The builders planned for observers standing at the altar stone, 77 meters away. They calculated sight lines across multiple reference points. Ancient surveyors worked backwards from the desired visual effect to position a 35-ton marker stone with millimeter precision. This isn't accidental astronomy, it's engineering. Mystery number 2, acoustic properties that shouldn't exist in broken stone. Sound engineer Stephen Waller tested audio characteristics inside the circle in 2014. Whispers carry clearly between specific trilithons. Normal conversation gets muffled. Drumbeats create standing waves that concentrate at the altar stone's position. The effect works because of precise stone spacing, averaging 3.2 meters between uprights, but half the original structure is missing. Fallen lintels, toppled sarsens. The acoustic sweet spots still function with 60% of the architecture gone. Computer modeling shows the original complete circle would have amplified sounds by 12 decibels. Voices from the center reached listeners at the outer edge with perfect clarity. The builders designed a stone amplifier that works even when shattered. Why build for sound in an open landscape where voices carry naturally? Modern testing reveals more complexity. Different frequencies behave differently inside the circle. Human voices in the 100 to 300 hertz range get amplified. Higher frequencies scatter and fade. Lower frequencies below 80 hertz create resonance effects that participants feel as vibrations through the ground. The phenomenon requires specific stone heights and spacing to work. Archaeoacoustics expert Paul Devereaux measured similar effects at other stone circles. Avebury, the Ring of Brodgar, Castlerig. The builders understood wave propagation and designed accordingly. They created prehistoric concert halls tuned to human vocal ranges. Mystery number 3, underground chambers that official surveys ignore. Ground-penetrating radar scans from 2008 revealed rectangular voids beneath the monument's eastern quadrant. Dimensions, roughly 4 by 6 meters. Depth, approximately 2 meters below surface. English Heritage classified the data as geological irregularities and restricted further scanning. Independent surveys by Birmingham University confirmed the voids in 2011. Thermal imaging shows temperature differentials consistent with hollow spaces. The chambers align with Stonehenge's primary axis, northeast to southwest. Similar voids appear at Woodhenge, 3 kilometers away. Stone circles across Britain sit above artificial cavities. Archaeologist Mike Parker Pearson requested excavation permits in 2015. Denied. The chambers remain sealed, their contents unknown. What lies beneath the stones that authorities won't touch? Additional radar work by the Ludwig Boltzmann Institute identified more subsurface anomalies in 2014, 17 discrete features within 500 meters of the stone circle, pit-like structures, linear trenches, possible foundation remains. The underground landscape extends far beyond the visible monument. Some features predate Stonehenge by centuries, others appear contemporary with construction phases. The hidden archaeology suggests a complex sacred site with multiple components buried and forgotten. Excavation would resolve the mystery in months. The refusal to dig speaks louder than any scientific explanation. Cold stone, hidden rooms, ancient mathematics. Mystery number 4, the missing link between bluestones and Presley Hills. Geology doesn't match. Geologist Herbert Thomas identified the bluestones, source in 1923, Presley Hills in Pembrokeshire, Wales, distance 240 kilometers, weight of transported stones approximately 4 tons each. Problem solved, case closed. Except recent analysis reveals inconsistencies. Petrologist Richard Bevins tested bluestone samples against Presley quarries in 2018. Chemical signatures don't align. Mineral compositions vary significantly. Some bluestones contain elements absent from Presley deposits. Others lack minerals common in Welsh samples. The stones came from Wales, but not from where we thought. Multiple quarries, different valleys, transport routes that make no geographic sense. Why gather stones from scattered locations when abundant material sat in single quarries? The effort suggests selection criteria beyond simple availability. Geochemist Rob Ixer identified at least 6 different source locations for Stonehenge's bluestones: Pont Saison Outcrop, Carrigmarcogion Ridge, Carngodo Quarry, Carn Menin Peaks, Rosifalen Site, Carn Breseb Slopes. Each location provided specific stone types for different monument sections: spotted dolerite, rhyolite, volcanic ash, sandstone. The builders traveled across 50 square kilometers of Welsh mountainside, selecting particular rocks. They quarried small amounts from multiple sites rather than exhausting single sources. The transport effort multiplied exponentially. Teams carried stones from separate valleys to central collection points, then onward to Salisbury Plain. This wasn't efficient quarrying, it was geological curation. If you value documented archaeological research like this, subscribe. Also comment from which city you're hearing this from. Now back to the mysteries. Mystery number 5, cremated remains that violate Neolithic burial customs entirely. Archaeologists found cremated bone fragments throughout the monument during excavations from 1919 to 1926, standard practice for the period. But isotope analysis in 2013 revealed foreign origins. Strontium signatures from bone samples matched geology in Wales, Scotland, and continental Europe. The dead traveled hundreds of kilometers to burn at Stonehenge. Carbon dating places the cremations across 8 centuries, from 3000 to 2200 BCE, consistent ritual spanning multiple cultures and construction phases. Professor Mike Parker Pearson identified remains from at least 63 individuals, men, women, children. Some showed signs of violent death, cut marks on skull fragments, projectile impact damage. Why transport bodies across Britain for cremation at a construction site? The cremation process itself breaks Neolithic norms. Bodies burned at temperatures exceeding 800 degrees Celsius. Standard funeral pyres reach 600 degrees maximum. The higher temperatures require specialized fuel and controlled airflow. Bone analysis shows repeated exposure to extreme heat. Some fragments burned multiple times. Certain remains were calcined to pure white ash, then carefully collected and redistributed around the monument. Cremation became part of the construction process itself. Some bone fragments were incorporated into stone sockets during trilithon erection. The dead weren't just buried at Stonehenge, they became part of its structure. Religious practice merged with architectural engineering in ways that challenge our understanding of both. Mystery number 6, sarsen stone shaping that requires tools that don't exist in the archaeological record. The trilithons, massive stone doorways, feature precision joints and smooth surfaces, mortise and tenon connections between uprights and lintels, tongue and groove joints linking horizontal stones, surface finishing to tolerances within millimeters. Archaeologists assume Neolithic builders used stone mauls, rounded hammerstones for pecking and grinding, but experimental archaeology reveals the problems. Modern attempts using reconstructed tools require months per surface. The estimated 40 million hammer blows needed to shape Stonehenge's sarsens would have taken centuries. Tool wear analysis shows the mauls break down rapidly against sarsen's hardness, yet the monument displays consistent craftsmanship across all phases. The builders possessed shaping technology that left no trace in the archaeological record. Laser scanning reveals additional precision details. Trilithon uprights lean inward by specific angles. 2.5 degrees for optimal structural stability. Lintel stones feature subtle curves that compensate for visual distortion when viewed from ground level. Joint surfaces show microscopic finishing marks consistent with metal tools, not stone implements. But metalworking in Britain doesn't appear until the Bronze Age, centuries after Stonehenge's completion. Some joint edges are perfectly straight across meter-long surfaces. Others show complex curves matching predetermined templates. The mathematics involved calculating load distribution, wind resistance, and seismic stability for structures weighing 50 tons each. Engineering knowledge that supposedly didn't exist for another 3 millennia. Mystery number 7, magnetic anomalies that interfere with electronic equipment and compass readings. Geological surveys detect unusual magnetic signatures throughout the Stonehenge landscape. Intensity varies by location within the circle. Strongest readings cluster around the altar stone and fallen trilithons. Compasses deflect by up to 15 degrees when approaching specific stones. Electronic devices malfunction. GPS signals become unreliable within the inner circle. The anomalies don't correlate with local geology. Chalk bedrock contains minimal iron content, no natural explanation for magnetic disturbance. Similar effects appear at other megalithic sites across Britain. Avebury Stone Circle, the Rollright Stones, Long Meg and her daughters. A pattern of magnetic interference at Neolithic monuments suggests intentional placement of stones with unusual properties. Magnetometer surveys reveal additional complexity. The magnetic field strength fluctuates in regular patterns across the monument. Peak readings occur at stone positions, not between them. This suggests the stones themselves generate or focus magnetic energy. Geophysicist John Michel measured field variations of up to 30% above background levels. Some stones show positive magnetic anomalies, others negative. The pattern creates a magnetic map across the site with nodes and null zones in specific locations. Lightning strike analysis shows Stonehenge gets hit by electrical discharge more frequently than surrounding areas. The magnetic properties may concentrate atmospheric electricity. Ancient builders either discovered magnetic stone sources or artificially magnetized the sarsens through unknown processes. Mystery number 8, astronomical alignments that extend beyond the solar calendar into complex star systems. Gerald Hawkins identified 56 celestial correlations in 1965. Summer solstice, sunrise, winter solstice, sunset, lunar standstill positions, but computer analysis reveals deeper patterns. The monument tracks the Pleiades constellation's heliacal rising. Alignment was Sirius, the brightest star, orientation toward the galactic center. Some alignments work only during specific historical periods due to stellar proper motion. Others require knowledge of stellar distances and luminosity. The builders encoded astronomical data spanning millennia. Stonehenge functions as a stone computer, calculating celestial mechanics across geological time. The sophistication exceeds anything attributed to Neolithic Britain. Archaeoastronomer Clive Ruggles identified additional stellar correlations using computer modeling. The monument aligns with Rigel's culmination around 2800 BCE. Betelgeuse alignment occurs every 18.6 years during lunar maximum standstill. Capella alignment coincides with agricultural seasonal markers. The builders tracked multiple stellar cycles simultaneously. Some alignments require correction factors for atmospheric refraction. Others account for stellar parallax, the apparent position shift of stars due to Earth's orbital motion. This knowledge wasn't rediscovered until the 1600s. Tycho Brahe and Johannes Kepler calculations. The ancient astronomers worked with naked eye observations, yet achieved precision rivaling modern measurements. Stones remember, stars align, mathematics endure. Mystery number 9, radiocarbon dates from different monument phases that overlap impossibly. Standard chronology places Stonehenge's construction in distinct phases across 15 centuries. Phase 1, circular earthwork around 3100 BCE. Phase 2, timber structures and bluestone arrangement around 3000 BCE. Phase 3, sarsen trilithons around 2500 BCE. But radiocarbon dating reveals chronological chaos. Antler picks from Phase 3 contexts date to Phase 1 periods. Cremated bones from early contexts show late period dates. Charcoal samples from foundation deposits span 8 centuries within single contexts. Either the dating methods are fundamentally flawed or construction phases overlapped in ways that contradict archaeological theory. Multiple building campaigns happened simultaneously. The monument grew organically rather than following planned phases. Bayesian analysis of radiocarbon dates by Alex Baylis attempted to resolve the chronological problems. Results showed even greater complexity. Construction events cluster around specific decades rather than extending across centuries. Major building episodes occurred in narrow windows, 3050 to 3020 BCE for early phases, 2600 to 2500 BCE for sarsen construction. But individual dates scatter across the entire sequence. Some contexts contain materials from multiple time periods mixed together, reworking of earlier deposits, intentional curation of ancient artifacts. The builders incorporated older elements into newer construction phases, creating temporal confusion that defies standard archaeological interpretation. Mystery number 10, the station stones. Geometric relationships that require advanced mathematical knowledge. 4 sarsen stones, numbered 91 through 94, form a rectangle around Stonehenge's perimeter. Only 2 survive. The rectangle's proportions encode multiple mathematical constants. Length to width ratio approximates the golden section. Diagonal distances equal the monument's diameter multiplied by the square root of 2. The geometry aligns with lunar maximum and minimum positions on the horizon, but the mathematics involved weren't developed until classical antiquity. Pythagorean theorem, geometric mean calculations, trigonometric relationships. The station stones demonstrate knowledge that predates its supposed invention by 2 millennia. Either mathematical principles existed in Neolithic Britain, or the conventional timeline of mathematical development is completely wrong. Geometric analysis reveals additional mathematical relationships. The station stone rectangle's center coincides exactly with Stonehenge's geometric center. Diagonal lines from opposite corners pass through specific trilithon positions. The angle subtended by the rectangle's length from the center equals the monument's primary azimuth, 51 degrees 49 minutes. This is also the angle of the Great Pyramid at Giza, built 1,000 years later. The station stones encode pi in their perimeter calculations and phi in their proportional relationships, mathematical constants that weren't formally recognized until the Greek classical period. The builders understood geometric principles that took civilization another 2,000 years to rediscover and systematize. Mystery number 11, transportation evidence for bluestone movement that contradicts the overland theory. Glacial geologist Alwyn Williams Thorpe analyzed transport scenarios in 1991. The accepted route follows Welsh coastlines to the Bristol Channel, then overland to Salisbury Plain. Total distance approximately 380 kilometers. But no archaeological evidence supports the journey. No abandoned stones along the route, no prehistoric harbors capable of handling 4-ton loads, no trackways wide enough for megalithic transport. Experimental archaeology suggests alternatives: glacial transport during the last ice age, natural deposition of bluestones closer to Stonehenge, human transport from secondary locations within 50 kilometers. The 400-kilometer Welsh journey lacks supporting evidence. The bluestones reached Salisbury Plain by methods we haven't identified. Recent analysis of glacial deposits complicates the transport question further. Ice Age erratics, rocks transported by glaciers, include bluestone varieties throughout southern England. Geologist Brian John identified spotted dolerite fragments and gravels near Stonehenge dating to the last glacial maximum 20,000 years ago. Natural transport brought Welsh rocks within short distances of the monument site. But this doesn't explain selective quarrying from multiple Welsh sources. Someone still had to identify, extract, and transport specific stone types. The work involved combining glacially deposited materials with quarried stones from Wales. Nature provided some building materials locally. Humans supplied the rest through organized expeditions. The logistics required knowledge of geological deposits across hundreds of square kilometers. Mystery number 12, post holes and timber structures that predate stone construction by centuries but follow identical layouts. Excavations beneath Stonehenge revealed extensive post hole patterns, circular arrangements of wooden posts matching the later stone configurations. Carbon dating places the timber phase between 3,500 and 3,000 BCE, 5 centuries before sarsen construction. The post holes align precisely with future trilithon positions. Identical geometry, same astronomical orientations. The builders followed a master plan across multiple generations, but no contemporary culture in Britain shows comparable long-term architectural planning. The design consistency suggests cultural continuity spanning half a millennium. Why maintain identical layouts through wood and stone phases? The monument's true purpose transcended construction materials. The timber structures show additional sophistication. Post holes contain packing stones and foundation layers indicating substantial above-ground construction. Diameter measurements suggest posts up to 1 meter thick, massive tree trunks requiring specialized harvesting and transport. Some post holes contain multiple replacement cycles. The same positions were reused for centuries with increasingly larger timbers. Soil analysis reveals exotic wood species: oak from northern England, pine from Scotland. The builders imported construction materials from across Britain during the wooden phases, just as they later transported stones from Wales. Continuity of purpose across construction materials. The monument concept remained constant while technology evolved from wood to stone. Numbers lie, stories survive, Truth waits underground. In 2023, ground-penetrating radar detected a previously unknown circle of deep shafts surrounding Stonehenge at 2-kilometer radius. 24 pits, each 4 meters deep. Perfect spacing. Older than the monument itself. The builders weren't just creating a stone circle, they were marking the center of a vast ceremonial landscape that extends beyond anything we imagined. The mysteries aren't solved, they're multiplying.